So I've already cut out the storage compartment. I based my center line off of the center right here, measured out 24 inches across the top, 26 inches across the bottom, and then a little over 10 inches on either side here. And it left me with that kind of hole. Went ahead and spray painted it so nothing starts to rust. I've got most of the gas tank already put together. Only real complaint was they sent me this kind of stopper on here. Instead of an actual NTP bung, I've put a bunch of Teflon on it, but I'm gonna replace that with an actual 1/2 inch NTP bung. The pump was easy to do. There's good video online how to knock that out. And all of the brass fittings, it looks like the hose or the rubber connector that comes off of this hose right here is actually what goes there. And then once the filler neck is cut, it'll connect into there and give you a good seal. So on this Jeep, I didn't have the purge valve that they had shown in the picture. I've got this device, and it comes around and connects back over to the evap canister. And this is that line right here that comes up and connects to the bottom of the canister. Of course, I already have the gas line and the filler neck out. And what I did to get that out without bending this was disconnected the body bolt that's back here. I used the pry bar on my bumper and my poison spider connector here and lifted up and separated the body and the frame enough to slip it out through this gap without damaging it. And then this purge valve canister, I'm assuming is what it is, that slid back in with no issues. It fit no problem. On this evap line, looking at the instructions, I thought this was the first place to cut, but in reality, you just want to cut this, and that way it maintains the orientation when you put it back into the Jeep. To get this piece here disconnected, I just used a standard box cutter and cut right through there. Kind of leaving myself plenty of room to get around. The barb fitting just pressed in with really no issue. I just pushed it right in, and I'm gonna put a hose clamp on it. All right, there's that piece with the hose clamp on it, and that's cinched down really nice. All right, so that piece that I've been working on goes up there. The other hose connects onto that little T-barb, and that's what runs and kind of goes all the way back up towards the front of the Jeep. Okay, so there's my filler neck. I might have left it a little long, but I'd rather have to remove more than try to add some back. Okay, so I'm on the part where you fit up all of the fuel lines and get ready to actually start connecting hoses. And this is the hose that Metal Cloak sent with me that says 90 degrees, and it's supposed to go on here and connect. However, this is nowhere close to the right size for any of the hoses. And so what I did was I kind of concocted this right here. Which is the rubber boot that connected to the old gas tank. I took another section out of the metal filler neck that had a bend in it and put it there. And then this is the section they say to cut and get going and kind of have pre-mocked up all of my lines to get ready to install this. And we'll see if this fits and works. So I'm making one modification change. The hose that's supplied is a 3/8 hose, and it just feels real loose and sloppy, especially on this little connection right there. And so I actually had some 1/4 inch fuel hose here in the shop and switched over to that, and that's what I'm going to be using for this hose instead of the supplied 3/8. I'll see if I can do this with one hand, but here's where I'm kind of fishing my hose in at from over here. Get it in there, and then should be able to reach down right here. And grab your rubber hoses. I can't get it with another hand, but get at those and fish those through right where that fuel hose is going. Okay, and with both hands I was able to get that fished and swung in through there. I've got my floor plate installed. I've got the fuel lines connected, the evap connected, light assembly back in, fuel cap is now back on. All the lines have ran through there and are connected to the gas tank, and time to start the electrical. So this is where I ran the electrical for the fuel pump. I'm gonna solder it instead of use butt connectors. All right, so here are the electrical connections spliced in, and I'm gonna run these back to the pump. Okay, so there's the electrical connection. The floor plate is in, it just needs to be connected, and we'll test this and see if it works. Okay, so just a recap of where stuff's running. Lines right up here. Definitely gonna replace zip ties once I know everything is good with these style hose clamps that just kind of screw in. Following the line around, if I can keep my fingers out of there. There's the connector that's provided there with a yellow tape is the electrical connection. That's the evap with the T off of it. There is the evap hose that comes from the gas tank area with that little canister. I think it's a purge valve deal. And we'll just kind of get up and test it, and let's make sure there's no fuel leaks. All right, so I put 5 gallons of fuel in it. Nothing dripped out on the ground. And I've got the key on, which should have purged the lines. Let's see if it starts. Sweet. And I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear the fuel pump running all day. So, hope this video helps, and good luck on your install. I also want to give some final thoughts over the Motobilt fuel tank. I do feel like it leaves a lot left to be desired. One of the big things I don't like about the tank is that there are no internal baffles. I think had I known that in the beginning, I probably would have just saved up the extra and purchased the Genrite tank. You can tell that this tank is more of a generic fit. The connections aren't that great. The wires supplied aren't the right sizes. The butt connectors are not really good quality. The NTP plug, I put so much Teflon in to make sure that it stopped at the appropriate height. It's like as if the taper wasn't correct on it. The Gates hoses being sent out with the wrong sizes. It would have been nice if it had have been more of a vehicle specific fitment, like 07 to 11, 12 to 17 or 18 on the JKs, and kind of tailored that a little bit more. I would have paid that extra cost. All in all, the tank is beautiful. The welds are great. It fit in there really nicely. The skid plate connects where you should. The supplied bolt hole that was here to help mark and line it up was right. It's a good tank, right? This isn't a bash on Motobilt by any stretch of the imagination. But that being said, I was really pleased with my Genrite roll cage, and it was lasered and puzzled, and as if they designed that for my Jeep. And bucks, whatever you're paying for yours, I expected a little bit better finish, and so. But I'm gonna run it with no baffles, and hopefully there's no real issue with fuel foam or my gauge being off, and we'll just go from there. Good luck on your install. One last note on the floor plate cover. I screwed mine down to a wooden table and tack welded everything, screwed down tight, and I do believe that kind of helped minimize warpage. I've heard other people complaining that cover can warp easily, so just give it some tacks and make sure that it's good and connected. But I would screw it down, and that way it stays kind of flat.